Just a couple updates. Obviously, Cam Irving left the game yesterday in the first half, getting an MRI right now, so don't have the results on that. We'll obviously update you, Wednesday when we know. Matt Paradis, our hearts are sick for him. What a tremendous teammate, captain, player. Obviously went down on the second play, tore his ACL, and will be out for the year. So, Matt's a special guy. Really heartbroken for him. And then Sam, obviously was sore after the game in his shoulder. He's getting an MRI this morning, or had one this morning. So we'll wait to see exactly where he is health-wise moving forward. So those are the three medical updates.
All right, guys. I don't see any hands raised, so if someone wants to start us off with the first question, the floor is open.
Matt,
Matt, could you update us on Brian Burns?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's bad that I didn't do that. I apologize. Brian had a ankle sprain. I'm not sure yet, where that'll be. He was getting an MRI as well. So the extent of that ankle sprain, we'll have to wait and see.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was going to ask about Brian, but I'll ask another question. Matt, I guess, have you decided whether Sam Darnold is the right starter for this at quarterback for you all going forward?
I think right now we're focused on obviously him and his health. Those of us at the game yesterday and watched it and all that. I mean, we know. I think Sam will be the first to tell you that wasn't good enough from the quarterback position. We had guys open with some opportunities that we weren't able to connect on. Too many batted balls. That can't happen at this level. And then obviously 3 giveaways. I think when you look at our season, when we've protected the football, we've had a chance to win, and when we've given the ball away multiple times, obviously we all know the results. So the play at that position has to be better. Obviously, when you're the quarterback, you're depending on everybody else around you. I thought Sam played an excellent game last week against Atlanta, but yesterday was obviously not the best. And he's a tough guy. He went out there and competed for his team. Coming off missing some time during the week. So nothing's ever on just one guy. But the play has to be better. So in terms of where we are moving forward and all those different things, we'll obviously always try to do whatever it takes to be great. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals and all those things. I just kind of handle things one bit at a time, see where Sam's health is, and then make the best decisions after that.
All right, let's go to Nick Carboni next.
Matt, after watching the film, do you think Sam's shoulder had any factor in the way he played yesterday?
I don't know. I don't know if that's up for me to say because I'm not Sam, and I haven't really had a chance to even speak with Sam yet because he's been doing all the medical stuff. When I look at the tape, I don't see any throws where he didn't have velocity. I don't see any of those plays. So, it didn't appear that way to me. But Sam obviously, could speak to that. When I look at the tape, I see, again, just 2 bad decisions on turnovers. And obviously, it's one thing to turn the ball over, as I said to Joe yesterday, but it's another thing to turn it over on 1st and 2nd down, and it's even worse when it's in the red zone. So, we were kind of moving the ball, had a chance to get back in the game or be in the game. It's in the 3rd quarter, and the pick six obviously was a really tough play. So that all has to be better. I can't say that it looked like the shoulder was a factor at all. I thought, Sam threw the ball hard and threw the ball with velocity. I just think, the batted balls and some missed opportunities, and then obviously the 3 giveaways.
Let's go to Joe Person.
Matt, if Sam is healthy, is he still your starter?
I'd have to see. To be honest with you, Joe, just because of everything he's gone through, I'd have to see him this week. I'd have to see him on Wednesday and see what does that healthy look like. I mean, I've seen Sam play well. I thought he played well last week. I go back to the first 3 games. I thought he played well. We've kind of been on this journey with him, helping him to get, to take the next step. Thought he took it last week, took a step back this week. Why we have to figure that out. So I think for me right now, I just have to figure out where he is. Is he okay to play this week? Is he cleared to play? And then if he is, what exactly does that look like before I do anything else?
And then when did he re-injure the shoulder? Was this an overuse thing or what was it?
I don't know that I even say re-injure it. Obviously, they MRI'd him last week. Came in with soreness after the game or this morning. I don't know if it was that right after the game or this morning. You figure you're going to be sore after the game, so we just want to see exactly where it is. So we didn't practice him very much last week, early in the week, so I think he's probably. I think they obviously the doctors got him to the point where he felt comfortable with it to play. So we'll just have to wait and see where it's at.
All right, we'll go to Will Kunkel next.
Hey, Matt, I just want to see, does Joe Brady call all the plays throughout a game, and does he have full autonomy on the offense the way it sits right now?
Yeah, Joe calls all the plays. I mean, obviously he has some of those, the coaches all, Pat and those guys really get involved in the run game and different things. So, in terms of like an overall goal going into each game, hey, let's run the ball this amount of times. Obviously, I get involved with that. Like, hey, let's try to run the ball, in these situations. I'd say that if I didn't like a play, I could obviously overrule it. It's kind of tough because he's speaking directly into the mic. But Joe takes suggestions as the game goes. Anytime you have a bad game, you're going to look at everything, right, and be frustrated with everything. I just think there was, whether it was Christian, on the double move, or there were some guys open yesterday. We just didn't quite execute. So, we'll just have to keep grinding away.
So is it just fair to say that Joe has 100% control of the offense going into each week, the game plan, and so
I'm with you. I answered the question. I really detailed. I mean, he calls the plays. The coach is all involved in the game plan, and I oversee everything. Like any play that's called, Will, in my mind, is on me. Right? If it's a pick six, then Matt Rhule called it. I didn't call the play. It's on me. So, that's a pretty detailed answer I think I gave in terms of this is exactly how we do the process. Certain guys help Joe with third down, certain guys help Joe with red zone, but he does have to deal with me saying, hey, let's be more aggressive, let's be less aggressive. The same thing with Phil. Phil designs all the defenses with the guys, but he does have to deal with me saying, hey, let's get after these guys. Hey, let's play. So. Anything that you see on tape, if it's not good, it's my fault. That's not just what I say; it's what I believe, and the same thing for the special teams. And that's what makes me the head coach.
Let's go to Stephen Toronto, followed by Vashti Hurt.
I have a pair of questions, if that's all right. Coach, Hassan was pretty frank yesterday about how he didn't want to be asked about any issues on the offensive side of the ball. And given those issues relative to the way that the defense has been playing, how do you prevent the locker room from turning into an environment where it's the defense versus the offense or the offense versus the defense?
Well, I think that's why Hassan said that. Anytime we've had a meeting or a player meeting, Hassan's, it's really easy to sit on the other side of the room or and say, well, they should be doing this or this guy should be doing this. Hassan's leading by example, saying, I don't want to talk about things I'm not involved with. I don't want to talk about execution in the passing game, or should we run the ball more, all these different things. Hassan's job is to go out there, set the edge, make tackles and get sacks, and he's leading by example in doing that. And I think all the guys here, you get to these moments where it's like, it feels like the sky is falling, and you want to just panic. Why? I mean, why panic? I mean, we're not a bad football team. We played bad football yesterday. That's a big difference. It wasn't good enough yesterday at all, and all of us here are really angry about it and determined to do something about it. But that being said, I mean, we're sitting here. We're 4-5. We have a whole bunch of football left ahead of us. We have a chance to go play a great team. We're probably one of the best teams in the National Football League this week. We have 2 more weeks, and then we have a bye, and then we play 5 games. We're still 2-0 in the NFC South. We've been a good football team at times, and we're trying to become a consistent football team. That's really the trajectory and the process you have to go through. First, you learn how to win. The hardest thing is learning how to be consistent in winning. And so to look the way we looked last week and then turn around this week and go back to turning the ball over and all those things, it's not who we want to be. But we don't need to panic. We just need to keep improving the football and getting the football right. And I'd say we have a bunch of really good guys in this locker room, Stephen. A bunch of guys that want to win, a bunch of guys that have been on winning teams in the NFL, and they understand it doesn't come easy. So I have really no concerns about that. Guys can be frustrated. We all should be frustrated. I'm frustrated. Everyone should be frustrated. But there's certainly no need to, sometimes you have to take a deep breath, regroup. We're going to hit the second half of the season right now, and take all the lessons we've learned and just try to be the team that played against the Falcons and Saints, not the team we saw out there yesterday.
And then on the subject of Sam, after you traded for him during the offseason, you talked about how you really wanted to build the kind of team that could win with different sorts of quarterbacks, kind of like what Bill Parcells did with guys like Jeff Hostetler, Vinny Testaverde, some others as well. Considering this rough stretch with Sam and some of the contributing factors outside of him, do you still stand by that philosophy of the quarterback being the sum of all the parts?
Yeah, I don't know that I said that. I said I wanted to build a great team around the quarterback. There's lots of great, Hall of Fame quarterbacks that went to the Super Bowl once, or won one or one like. So, to me, it's like I want to have a great defense, and I think we're building a championship caliber defense. I want to have great special teams. We're building that. I want to have a great offensive line so the quarterback can run the football and not get touched. Like we've obviously had a ton of issues and injuries on the offensive line this year. That probably is going to take some time to get that done because we've drafted mainly defensively and some of the skill positions on offense, at least in terms of the higher rounds. So I just think the whole goal, the whole concept, Stephen, has been to try to put a total team around. Obviously, we want to have a great quarterback. You see, what the great quarterbacks do. But you can't have a great quarterback at the expense of not having everything else as well. So to me, they run on parallel tracks. We're trying to have a great quarterback. We want Sam to be successful. We want him to play at a high level. We want PJ to be successful. But we also want to have a great defense. And, we also want to have a great run game. And we want to have receivers who can win and tight ends who can win. And so, it's just one of those things. It's a process. You have to build, the building one brick at a time. And it's just not done yet. But it doesn't mean that it's not being built, So I just trust in that process. I've been through the process. When you go through it, you sometimes you walk through the fire a little bit, like we're doing right now. But you don't get burned. It gets hot, but you don't get burned. And so that's why it just takes unbelievable mental toughness. It takes unbelievable accountability and discipline as an organization to just keep doing what we're doing and try to do it better. So that's how I look at it. Trying to build a complete and total team. At the same time, also completely respecting, understanding that we have to have great quarterback play. Yesterday wasn't good enough. We have to be better.
You kind of touched on the subject that I wanted to talk about as far as the building process. You've been through this with your previous teams. I'm assuming it's one of the main reasons why you were brought here. Having been through the building process before, where would you say you are now in the building process with Carolina and the Panthers?
Kind of like what I just said. I think we're making real strides on defense. I think we're making strides on special teams. I think since the Eagles game, Chase has done a nice job. When you lose your punter, it's hard. I think Laughlin's done a really nice job. Zane's come a long way. The special teams have gotten better. Offensively, at the end of the day, we just have to play better on offense, right? Now the defense, you talk to Phil Snow, the defense has to get way better in his mind, which is what makes Phil so special. But, we've come a long way defensively. We've come a long way special teams wise. We have to, turn it on offensively. And, I think anytime you play a game in the National Football League and you lose 2 linemen early, that's tough. But I thought, Tech and Dennis went out there and played well and did a nice job. So, where are we right now? We're 4-5. I was on the other sideline, was the greatest coach in National Football League history, and we both had the same record. We're kind of where a lot of teams are right now. I turn on the NFL at night, and there's a lot of 3-6, 3-5, 4-5. There's a lot of teams where we are. So the key for us is to not panic, just to continue to work to get better, to build to get better. And that's not building in the offseason. I'm talking about building right now. And try to be a team that fights to have a chance to play good football. Before you can be a playoff team, you have to play playoff caliber football. And that's the only thing that was disappointing about yesterday to me was, while the record keeps us maybe alive, it just wasn't good enough football. So we have to take that step. And sometimes it's not solace for anybody, but you go through these stretches where you win one, then you lose one, an ugly one like yesterday, where you learn and the team learns, hey, this is what it takes to win. Like, We protected the ball against Atlanta. We won the game. We didn't protect the ball yesterday. We lost the game. Like, it's no longer Coach Rhule up there spouting off about this is what it takes to win. Guys really start to internalize it. So we have some veteran players that are really special, but we're still a really young team, and they're learning the hard way. They're learning through the fire. But I can promise you, if you see the whole thing through, it'll forge you. And that's all we're trying to do right now.
Overall, do you see progress though from when you started? Positive progress?
Yeah, we won 5 games last year. I'd like to think we're going to surpass that. I see the good and the bad, though. That's one thing about me. I think, when we've won, when we've lost, I've always said the same things. So I see the progress. Obviously, yesterday wasn't good enough. I'm not here to minimize how yesterday was really disappointing, and so. That has to get better. What I will say, and I've been pretty candid after games usually, I think, there's a lot of guys that played really good football yesterday. Sometimes you have a game like that, you turn it on, and it just looks lethargic and bad, and we had a lot of guys play really good football. And so, that's why I don't want the guys to panic. I want them just to hang in there. And, sometimes before things get better, they get a little bit worse, and it got worse yesterday. We have to battle back. We'll find out a lot about the Carolina Panthers and who we are as an organization. Not who we were, who we are, like where we are right now, based upon, the way that we come out and play these next 3 games before the bye week.
All right, let's go to Ellis Williams next.
Coach, what are your guys' plans at the center position going forward, and what is most challenging about handling turnover at that position?
Well, I think the center, I think the biggest thing is the center handles all the communication, right? Matt Paradis, he was elite. He is elite, but he was elite for us this season so far. Protections, Mike points, different fronts, he did a great job making sure we were all in communication, up front blocking. Obviously, Tech went in the game yesterday. Pat Elflein should be back this week. When we signed Pat, he was a guy that we thought could help us at guard and also play at center. So he's a natural fit to me to go in and play at center. So we have 2 guys there that we trust, and then guys like Trent Scott and Brady Christensen can also snap. So we'll have enough guys. We will miss Matt, though. He's a captain. He's a special guy on the team. But Pat's a really good player, and Tech played well yesterday. So we have 2 guys we know can do it.
Do you anticipate Pat getting the first crack at first team reps in practice?
Depending on how healthy he is tomorrow. He's practiced last week, so I would assume that he would be ready to go, and we'd probably put him in there first.
Okay, then one more. NFL Network reported that they're going to review Mac Jones' grabbing of Brian Burns on that play. Are you aware of that? And is that something you asked the league to do?
I'm not aware of any. I haven't heard anything like that. We go through today. We send in plays to be reviewed. To Perry Fuel, and we haven't had those. We haven't sent those in yet.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll go to David Newton and then Mike Solarte.
Hey, Matt. Back on the Burns thing specifically, Belichick said that he thought Matt Jones was trying to tackle him, thinking he had the ball. Do you buy that?
Yeah, I can't. I don't know what was in Mac's head. My job, on game day on the sidelines is to defend our players. What I don't want to be is I don't want to be the Carolina Panthers who everybody gets to hit out of bounds and, horse collar and turn their ankles late and nothing ever gets called. And, I look like a madman on the sidelines. But if that's what it takes, I'm going to sit there and defend our players to the officials the entire game. We have an excellent sideline. We don't have a lot of players yapping at the officials. We don't have a lot of coaches. I do it. I tried to defend our guys. I saw the play on the field. I said something. Hassan said it. I saw the replay. Said something to the game officials. But I love Mac Jones, tremendous competitor. I have no idea what was in his brain or his that, and I'm not here to talk about that. But I am here to defend our guys. And we don't, obviously we can't get guys hurt something after the play. We had 2 roughing the passer calls a week ago, right? That we're really close, and again, not about officiating. I respect the job that those guys do and how hard that is. It's just at the end of the day, I got to protect our guys, and so hopefully our guys feel that whether it was Robbie last week or DJ last week or them, I'm always out there to check on them. I want them to be healthy, and I hate for Brian that happened.
And you said you want this to be a team that's consistent. what do you need to see out of Sam moving forward to prove that he can be a consistent winner that can help you beyond this year, since you guys have kind of already committed to the fifth-year option with him?
Yeah, just consistency. I mean, as simple as that sounds, like, consistency in your drops, consistency in your process, in your depth, in your progressions. Protecting the football. I mean, there's really two situations yesterday, David. There's obviously the 3 turnovers, which make it hard to win. But it wasn't like we were lighting it up before that. So, it's one thing if you're going up and down the field and scoring, and you have a couple turnovers, and that's kind of the way you play. Like, I think we were 1 of 6 or 1 of whatever on 3rd down in the first half. So we've got to be able to throw and catch. We have we've invested, in the receiver position and the tight ends. We've got good backs. We have to be able to throw and catch. So just that consistency from Sam or PJ or whoever's out there playing for us.
So is it fair to say you are contemplating a change this week?
I hope, I think I answered that. I'm going to take it, kind of day at a time. I think, before I make any decisions on anything, I want to have all the variables. So, what I'm not going to do is just overreact. I'm just going to, take things as they come.
One more quick thing. Hassan Reddick have been a positive for you guys this year. When you look at what he's accomplished this year, with some doubters that last year was kind of a one-hit wonder type thing, what has impressed you the most about him?
I just think his toughness and physicality. I mean, to get that many sacks, it's one thing like, when you're kind of a floater, like he did some things in Arizona, you float around to get you on the back. I mean, he's winning versus tackles, he's winning versus tight ends. He's anchoring the run game. I mean, he's playing, 50, 60, 70 snaps a game. He doesn't come off the field really, so except for like one package. I think his consistent ability to defend the run to rush tackles, not just rush tight ends and backs as an outside backer. I mean, and then his ability to play, to play for 60 plays a game is impressive.
Hey, Matt, getting back to the plays that you say that you haven't sent in, is it safe to assume that Burns ankle twist is going to be one that's sent to the league? And I know you say you have a lot of respect and love for Mac Jones, but that seems like it was kind of out of character if he was not trying to tackle him. And I know you don't know what's in his head, but from the view that we all saw, that didn't, it didn't look like a football play.
Yeah, all I said was I'm just not, I don't want to comment on another player on another team. That's just not my role. My job's to comment on our guys. So, with regards to what the first part was, in terms of sending plays in, it sounds like from what you guys said, it's kind of already being looked at. So, we'll send all those types of plays in, each week, and just go through the process.
And then following up, with the injuries to Paradis and Irving, how did Tecklenburg hold up, and how did Daly hold up under the fire kind of being thrown in there?
Yeah, I thought Tecklenburg played well. I thought Daly played well. A little, Dennis is so talented. Dennis just needs to. We're just trying to constantly urge Dennis to play with just a little bit more grit and finish. Really, as an offensive lineman, you're evaluated by how you play when things don't go well, right? You can block someone for 60 plays and then have 3 missed blocks and give up 3 sacks and lose your job. So offensive line is one of the hardest things there is to do, and just trying to get Dennis just to have the grit to just, hey, the guy's got me on an edge, let me finish the block, let me lay out, let me do whatever it takes to make sure the quarterback doesn't get hit. But he has all the talent to do that. He's a wonderful guy, so I'm hoping that Dennis will emerge if Cam can't go and really take a step along with Brady as we fill that spot. And then, I answered about Tech. So, you look out there really for most of that game. I mean, there was 4 guys starting, at left tackle, left guard, center, and right guard that haven't played a lot of football for us this year. I thought, when you turn the tape on, it really wasn't the issue wasn't up front. Those guys, Pat did a nice job. Those guys did a decent job of protecting the quarterback and getting some runs started. So, there's, again, as bad as it feels and as bad as it looks, there's some guys who played good football yesterday.
All right, guys, we're tight on time, so let's go to Darren Gant and Steve Reed to finish.
Matt, without knowing Sam's condition right now, PJ going through the process last week and getting work when Sam may not have, how beneficial is that to him if he ends up being the guy this week?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing about being a backup quarterback in the National Football League is you don't get very many snaps. So getting snaps for him last week was important. And then again, we'll see kind of how things go this week and, who gets the snaps.
Hey, Matt, forgive me if I don't remember if you told us this Friday, but I just wanted to absolutely confirm. With Sam, we are talking his throwing shoulder, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure. And then secondly, just Christian, I think he was 29 of 59 snaps, something like about half the snaps. Do you anticipate that increasing this week with him getting more comfortable and
Yeah, I think we'll have some goals. We'll have some ranges. We want to keep him in. Obviously we want those other guys to play too. Want to keep Christian fresh. I think you saw the impact. Again, it didn't show up with the results, but I think you saw the impact of him playing in the third and fourth quarter. He had some good plays, some good runs. So we'll try to be smart with his number. Hey, Preston, I'll go ahead, Chris. I know you've been waiting a long time. I'll make sure I answer your question.
Thank you, Coach. My question, I know last week or previously did some extra work with Sam to try to get him back on track. We're watching some old film. You have any plans like that of doing anything with him this week to get him back on track? And then I'll ask you my second question.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when as a player, when you have some adversity, when you don't play well, especially when, you're in a position where everyone's paying attention to it, everyone's questioning you. Like you need to know that when you walk in the building, when you walk in the locker room, you see the coaches that there's people have your back, and doesn't mean that we accept bad football, right? Just like doesn't mean we accept bad coaching. It doesn't mean we accept bad O-line play or D-line play. Like everyone's trying to get better, but you need to you want to have people there. So yeah, I mean, I'll continue to always meet with Sam and to always visit with PJ and to always talk to Shaq and Christian and Daquan Jones. I mean, that's what it is in here. Again, we want everyone in this building, and everyone in this building just needs to take a breath, regroup, and get ready to go play the second half of the season. And we just, to David's point, we just have to be more consistent. We've looked good at times, we've looked bad at times, we've been in the middle at times. So we have to take a step. Obviously, when the quarterback plays well, you're probably going to play well as a team. So we have to help whoever the quarterback is. Hopefully Sam. We have to help Sam play at his best, and part of that's me. I'm not a quarterback coach. I'm not going to sit there and evaluate a ton of tape with him. I did that one time just to be like, hey, let's see you doing it right. But you have to know that people in the building support you and they have your back and they want to see you be successful. And as corny as it might sound to everybody, when you go through adversity, you don't know who has your back until you go through adversity, and then you find out. So. A locker room is 53 plus it's 69 guys plus 20 coaches. Well, none of us really find out who each other is until you go through bad moments, and so Sam will find out about us, we'll find out about Sam, and vice versa, all the way up and down the roster. We'll learn a lot about ourselves this week. We're facing one of the best teams in the National Football League, if not the best, and so what a challenge. We'll go on the road. Let's go try to play good football. So that's kind of my approach, Chris, as I head into this week.
Not as a comparison, Coach, but just what are the strengths that you see as a PJ Walker when he's behind center?
PJ has big arm, can move, smart player, plays with good anticipation. Obviously, not the biggest guy, so sometimes you have to do some different things to change some of his angles. And he's a good player when he protects the football. Just have to make sure he protects it.